trusted friend or an older brother that they don't have, where
That's
they can
great.
feel safe to ask all of the deep, maybe shameful questions that they have that they were.
The tension began with a deeply personal project Emma was passionate about. She wasn't just starring, she helped shape the entire production, from hand-picking the director to building the cast. At the first table read, Blake appeared sweet and supportive, giving Emma hope. But once filming began, things took a shady turn. Blake's scenes mysteriously expanded, taking the juiciest moments, while Emma's big scenes were cut or minimized. Blake's team started showing up at meetings Emma organized, press began calling Blake the face of the movie, and even Emma's stylist was pulled into coordinating looks with Blake for red carpets. By the time the trailer dropped, Blake was narrating it like a solo project, leaving Emma with only fleeting shots. What was meant to be a story about sisterhood and healing became a Blake-centric showcase, overshadowing Emma at every turn. Emma, who only wanted equal footing, ended up sidelined, pushed into the background, and publicly overshadowed, while Blake dominated every aspect of the project. Now that Emma has finally spoken out, both the industry and fans alike are struggling to fully grasp the scope of what really went down, and the tension between these two Hollywood powerhouses has reached a boiling point. For years, Blake Lively appeared to effortlessly dominate the spotlight, basking in media attention and public adoration, while Emma was quietly pushed to the sidelines, her contributions minimized or ignored. She didn't react with anger, didn't launch social media tirades, and didn't publicly throw shade, but the honesty in her recent comments landed with the force of a wrecking ball, exposing cracks in what had always seemed like a perfectly curated, untouchable image. The story began on a project that was deeply personal to Emma, one she had poured her heart into from the very beginning, shaping the script, selecting the director, and hand-picking the cast. What was supposed to be a collaborative, empowering endeavor quickly became a landscape of subtle sabotage and quiet exclusion. The real sting didn't happen on set. It unfolded in the media and through strategic public appearances, executed with precision that left little room for error. As the movie's release drew closer, Blake dominated interviews, framing the narrative as if the film were her brainchild, her vision, and her performance alone, while Emma's painstaking work and creative input were almost entirely erased. When Emma's name did appear in coverage, it was fleeting, almost an afterthought, a ghost of acknowledgement that didn't begin to reflect her actual contributions. The subtle shade was intentional and pervasive, extending to gossip blogs and blind items describing a supposedly washed-up actress who was allegedly phoning it in. While no names were given, the parallels to Emma's real-life experiences were unmistakable, as the descriptions eerily mirrored what Blake's team had reportedly said behind the scenes. The final, most deliberate blow came with a planned joint magazine cover meant to promote the film, a high-profile opportunity that could have showcased the collaborative spirit of the project. Emma, however, wasn't invited, and the public was fed a story that she couldn't appear, a carefully constructed narrative designed to erase her presence, while amplifying Blake's. Yet Emma maintained her composure, finishing the press tour with professionalism and grace, answering every question, smiling through every interview, and supporting a film that had gradually and systematically minimized her role. Critics showered Blake with praise while describing Emma's performance as muted, not because she lacked talent or effort, but because her most powerful and emotionally resonant scenes had been cut or downplayed. In the aftermath, Emma made the deliberate choice to step back from similar projects, avoiding co-leads and high-profile collaborations with Blake, effectively distancing herself from situations where her contributions could be overshadowed. Fans noticed her absence and whispered about what might have caused it, but Emma stayed silent, choosing to let her actions speak louder than words. Until now, months later, during a low-key podcast appearance, she was asked a seemingly simple question: "What's something the industry doesn't see about you?" Her response sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. People mistake silence for agreement. I trusted someone. I shouldn't have. No names. That single, understated statement ignited an intense wave of online detective work, with fans combing through past interviews, comparing behind-the-scenes footage, and piecing together timelines. Soon after, the floodgates opened further when a former co-star of Blake's left a pointed, shady comment about rehearsed sisterhood, providing additional context and validation to Emma's revelations, and setting off yet another round of heated discussion and speculation across social media platforms. A writer claimed that scripts were systematically rewritten to favor one character's appearance over another's emotional depth, highlighting a disturbing pattern of creative manipulation. Meanwhile, a costume designer revealed that Blake Lively demanded special fittings, even for scenes where Emma's character should have been the central focus. The message was clear. Emma wasn't being sidelined because of jealousy or ego. She was simply being erased. That soft-spoken confession resonated far louder than any headline ever could. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. While Blake still occupied the public spotlight, Emma now had the mic. And what she revealed shook Hollywood to its core. Industry insiders, fans, and the press began connecting the dots, uncovering a behind-the-scenes culture of control, favoritism, and subtle sabotage. Emma's calm, methodical recounting of events stood in stark contrast to Blake's carefully curated public image, creating a seismic effect. Quietly and deliberately, Emma reclaimed her agency, exposing a story of silencing and erasure without ever directly naming her co-star. Her confession reminded everyone that influence in Hollywood isn't just about red carpet appearances. It's about who shapes the narrative and who can endure being pushed aside with grace. Even as Blake continues to dominate headlines, Emma's measured truth-telling now carries far more weight, challenging perceptions of power and control within the industry. Hollywood is watching, fans are re-evaluating, and the quiet professionalism Emma displayed has never felt more impactful, proving that sometimes the softest voices hit the hardest. But the story doesn't stop there. Actress Blake Lively is currently suing co-star Justin Baldoni for alleged sexual harassment, among a host of other claimed incidents on set. However, she now faces mounting scrutiny for her own behavior during filming, particularly an infamous incident on A Simple Favor in 2018. Numerous sources are calling for her to drop the lawsuit, arguing that the evidence of questionable conduct from both her and Ryan Reynolds is overwhelming. This situation brings in the legal doctrine of unclean hands, which essentially states that if you sue someone for misconduct while engaging in similar behavior yourself, the court may view your case unfavorably. While its application to harassment claims may be nuanced, the principle is clear. Claiming victimhood while participating in comparable actions can seriously undermine your position. The controversy intensified when behind-the-scenes footage from A Simple Favor resurfaced, raising eyebrows across social media and the industry alike. In one clip, Blake is seen laughing with the director while improvising a scene in which she grabs co-star Henry Golding's crotch. According to the footage, Blake came up with the move herself, and both she and the director were laughing at how awkward and over-the-top it had become. She reportedly said, "I felt like my character would do that," and continued escalating the scene's intensity with the director's encouragement. By today's standards, and even in hindsight, such behavior is shocking. But at the time, it was framed on set as quirky and humorous, a misguided form of improvisation that has since resurfaced to complicate her public image. The combination of Emma's revelation and Blake's own controversial history has left the Hollywood landscape buzzing. Fans, insiders, and media outlets are reevaluating not just the projects themselves, but the dynamics behind them, and questions about fairness, accountability, and influence are at the forefront of the conversation. What was once seen as glamorous collaboration now reads like a cautionary tale of power, manipulation, and the high stakes of public perception in Tinseltown. Flash forward to 2024, and Blake Lively finds herself filing civil rights complaints over situations that, when compared to her own on-set antics, seem remarkably minor. One example often cited is when Justin allegedly complimented her scent after she mentioned her spray tan during a slow dance scene. The contrast is glaring, raising serious questions about credibility, consistency, and selective outrage. Critics and legal analysts alike are asking how someone can claim to have been subjected to inappropriate behavior while simultaneously having a documented history of improvising intimate or invasive moments on set, laughing them off, and even receiving encouragement from directors. The optics are damaging, and the legal doctrine of unclean hands could be invoked, potentially undermining her claims in court. Public perception isn't helping Blake either. Social media is dissecting every clip, replaying footage of past on-set antics, and comparing them to her current allegations against Justin, painting a picture that seems increasingly contradictory and self-serving. Ryan Reynolds' involvement in managing the fallout adds yet another layer of scrutiny, as observers question whether his efforts are focused on protecting Blake or controlling the broader narrative. Taken together, the situation has evolved into a cautionary tale about credibility, optics, and legal strategy. Claiming victimhood while evidence surfaces of similar prior behavior is a high-risk move, not just in court, but in the court of public opinion, where reputational damage can be swift and lasting. It has since been revealed that the infamous on-set moment, Blake placing her hand on co-star Henry Golding, was entirely her idea. Adding to the controversy, one of her legal arguments for seeking dismissal from the case hinges on the claim that she did not lie, but merely left out context. For example, she alleges that Justin entered her trailer while she was breastfeeding, conveniently omitting that she had invited him in. These revelations shocked many, and as the media began peeling back the layers, discussions about Blake's connections to some of Hollywood's darker, more secretive corners surfaced, highlighting just how much the mainstream narrative has been sanitized. Blake has been in the public eye for years, celebrated for her starring roles and glamorous persona. Yet behind the scenes, connections and dealings that remain largely unknown to the public continue to draw intrigue and speculation. Despite this, rather than facing consequences, she has largely been shielded by the industry, a testament to Hollywood's ability to protect its stars and preserve the carefully constructed fairy tale narrative. This duality, publicly celebrated while privately enmeshed in hidden machinations, raises troubling questions about accountability, the protection of influential figures, and how much of the real story the media chooses to cover. Why is it that some people are shielded while others are dragged through the mud for far less? It's not necessarily that Blake Lively has a sinister past herself, but the way Hollywood's elite manages and covers up controversies is astonishing. Certain stories vanish entirely, disappearing from public view as if they never existed. This isn't ordinary celebrity PR. It's a complex web of protection involving influential networks, obscure family ties, and powerful figures who ensure secrets remain buried. When it comes to Blake's allegations against Justin Baldoni, the claims are serious. She accused him of sexual harassment on set, alleging that he kissed her neck, sucked her bottom lip, touched her without consent, and made inappropriate remarks. She further claimed that he discussed his porn addiction, commented on her weight, and even asserted he could communicate with her deceased father due to spiritual beliefs, which she said caused her deep emotional distress. Blake also alleged that once she spoke up, Justin retaliated with a smear campaign. In response, Justin filed a countersuit, asserting that her claims were fabricated and that she had difficulty following direction. In February 2025, Blake expanded her lawsuit, alleging that two other actresses also felt uncomfortable with Justin's behavior, positioning her claims as part of a broader pattern of misconduct. Justin released proof footage to defend himself, but Blake's team countered that it actually supports her case, allegedly showing the type of non-consensual touching she described. Complicating matters further is Blake's own conduct, including the infamous improvised scene with Henry Golding on A Simple Favor, which continues to spark debate and complicate the public narrative. The legal battle is ongoing, but its ripple effects are already being felt. Questions about credibility, consent, and the behind-the-scenes dynamics of Hollywood productions are dominating conversations in both legal circles and social media. The court of public opinion is dissecting every clip, statement, and interview, weighing each against the others. Meanwhile, people are scrutinizing Blake's motives, wondering whether the timing of her lawsuit, the expansion of her claims, and her team's messaging are strategically designed to control the narrative. Every alleged, behind-the-scenes behavior, every public statement, and every piece of leaked footage adds another layer to a story that goes far beyond a single actress or a single lawsuit. This saga has become a complex portrait of celebrity power and accountability in the modern era, showing how legal strategy, media manipulation, and public perception intersect in high-profile Hollywood disputes. It's a story of influence, secrecy, and the intense scrutiny that comes with fame, where every move is analyzed, every claim is questioned, and every revelation has the potential to shift the narrative entirely. The complaint in question was never officially filed as a legal document. Blake Lively didn't send it to Justin Baldoni, Wayfair Studios, or anyone actually named in it. Nope. Instead, she handed it straight to the New York Times, skipping the courts entirely and ignoring the people allegedly involved. Suspicious much? If justice were the goal, wouldn't you want the accused to be held legally accountable? But if your priority is headlines, suddenly it all starts to make sense. To make matters weirder, the complaint wasn't even signed by Blake herself. It was signed by an attorney, Ezra Hudson, which has led many to speculate this wasn't about legal recourse at all, but about pushing a carefully curated narrative. Legal experts have chimed in, pointing out that Blake or her representatives never outright state that certain events happened. Instead, they phrase everything with, "She believes them to be true." That little word, believes, provides massive legal wiggle room. If this ever goes to court and Blake is asked to testify under oath, she could potentially dodge perjury claims by insisting it was just her opinion, not fact. A tactic allegedly mirrored by Ryan Reynolds in trying to get Justin Baldoni's lawsuit dismissed. It's all very calculated. Things get even more complicated when footage from A Simple Favor resurfaced, showing Blake getting comfortable with Henry Golding in ways similar to what she's accusing Justin of. Sources close to Baldon's legal team say they plan to use the clip in court. And if the case turns into a he said, she said situation, that footage could seriously sway both public and legal opinion. Meanwhile, Blake's public reputation is crumbling in real time. Fans have been mercilessly critiquing everything from her actions on set to her latest public appearances, like the recent donut shop visit in Connecticut. On the surface, it seemed cute. Blake baking, smiling, handing out treats. But fans immediately noticed something off. Her long blonde hair was completely down while handling food, with no hairnet or scrunchie, swaying over trays like it was part of the toppings. While her flowing hair might be part of her personal brand or aesthetic, this wasn't a shampoo commercial. It was a food service setting, and federal regulations in the US require hair to be tied up when handling food. Suddenly, what was meant to be a lighthearted, relatable moment felt unsanitary, careless, and potentially even a liability for the shop. Some insiders claim Blake went rogue on this idea. It wasn't a PR team strategy. She apparently wanted to create